Welcome to the MVP Show. Before we chat with today's guest, here's a quick message from our sponsors. Today's show is brought to you by the 90-Day Mentoring Challenge. I read once that the best way to be successful is to help other people become successful, which is why I provide the 90-Day Mentoring Challenge for free. If you want to be mentored in the next 90-day challenge, please go to nz365guy.com/mentoring. That'll take you through to all the details of it, and you can fill out a form, express your interest. The shut-off date is going to be December the 1st this year for the next intake. So get your enrollment in early. That'd be awesome. Interestingly enough, over 250 people have already registered for the next intake. So exciting times. Well, without further ado, let's get on with the show. Today's guest is from England. He's on his 8th year as part of the Data 8 team. He's a currently development team lead. Recently, he became a Microsoft MVP. He got a degree in computer game technology, which is his ticket into technology career, and a huge community advocate. He's a newly keen gardener, a trained wrestler, a Lego collector, and spends as much of his time with his 3-year-old as possible. He always tries to be the first to get things officially launched and be on the cutting edge of the Microsoft ISV certification. You can find him on Twitter at Matty Baird or his blog, mbaird.co.uk. Matt, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mark.
So, any inaccuracies in what I said there?
No, it's a lot to pick apart, isn't it? Now it's all the crazy parts of my life in one big long sentence.
A trained wrestler?
Yeah. Only, I mean, not heavily trained, but enough that when I was younger, so early 18, 19, I had a friend that owned a wrestling company that I used to have a couple of thousand people go and Americans come over. So I got basic training enough that if they needed a stooge to go in the ring or to do something, then I could look after myself safely rather than just get hurt. So, yeah.
Okay. So I always like to open with, tell us a bit about family, food, and fun that, evolve around your sphere of influence.
So I'm from near Liverpool in the UK, so a football fan of Liverpool, visit there pre-pandemic and hopefully post-pandemic as much as I can, with married for, oh God, why did I say this in public? It's 5 or 6 years, I think, at this point.
Why wouldn't you say it in public?
And 5 or 6, I should probably know that one. Went to Vegas to get married, so that was quite cool. We did all that, and then a little 3-year-old that we worked out today spent half of her life in lockdown because of this lovely pandemic. So I'm looking forward to life going back to normal, and we can take her to all sorts of crazy places.
Nuts. So the Vegas bit, was that to shed family and friends and just go solo, or what was your rationale?
I mean, it was a long time ago now. It was before I was really doing what I was doing now, and the thought of people looking at me and the sense of attention was just awful. I just couldn't bear the thought of that. And Jo, my wife, was exactly the same. The thought of hosting a day and it being all about me for that full day was just turns my stomach. So we thought, let's combine it with a holiday instead, and we'll go and spend a week in Vegas and do it that way instead. So that was great fun.
Wow, great idea. What a superb idea. How does that work for legally in the UK? Because, I've been to a wedding in the UK, and I probably of any country that, in my experience, it's some of the most draconian rules around getting married, as in from, checking that you're not drunk to it has to be an official venue and all these type of things. How does your marriage license, or did you do a registry office type scenario back in the UK as well?
No. So the day before we get married in Vegas, you go to the Vegas courts or whatever, and you officially sign all your documents and do all that sort of stuff then. So you get your marriage certificate the day before. So then the actual wedding itself is the process of it. But then, that document is valid over here. Has not been a problem. When anytime anyone wants the marriage certificate and all that sort of stuff, we just send in the copy of the one that is fully stamped and authorized by America, and it's been fine. So I technically assume we're married, but you never know. Someone listening to this podcast could tell me otherwise.
Yeah. Interesting, because I just thought, sending a document with the word Vegas on the top of it is kind of like buying an internet degree, online, that you'd wonder if it was as legit as it could be.
Yeah, I mean, as far as that, yeah, I mean, we've got all the certificates to say it's all stamped. If you go on the Vegas courthouses and search for our names, you can see the date and time of our marriage and all that sort of stuff.
Wow. So cool. And what a cool, way of doing that's kind of different.
So when you go to weddings in the UK, for example, you have the whole ceremony, and then there's this downtime of about an hour and a half, 2 hours, where people are just not really sure what to do, and the bride and groom are getting photos and taken. Whereas instead, we got married, and within 90 minutes, I was on the strip in the boiling hot sun in shorts and t-shirt having a pint.
Nice. That is a good call. Tell us about, I think I first met you in, was it Amsterdam?
It could be Amsterdam. It could be London. I think we briefly were together at the second Scottish Summit. First Scottish Summit.
Yeah, definitely the first Scottish Summit. Absolutely. So data rate, you're big in the ISV space. How do you feel ISVs fare in the modern world of Microsoft, with them, often building out what an ISV builds, and then to some degree leaves the ISV irrelevant? How do you fare in that whole landscape, and how do you diversify your interests?
We're sort of lucky because we're horizontal. We're not necessarily in a vertical. So for them to take everything, it doesn't just tick a box. So there's all sorts of people in all different industries that we satisfy. So we're quite lucky in that way, that the problems that we solve, everybody has. Microsoft do keep moving on their stuff, but the places that we're looking at, all the data side of stuff, that's always been there. It's been there for a long time. It's never been actively developed really by Microsoft at all. They've got no real need to, because they know that ISVs do it as well as anybody else. So they're not anytime soon going to go into those areas. There's going to be changes, of course, and that's where we have to adapt, and that's why we try and keep up with their technology. But fundamentally, because of the things that we do and the amount of time it's been a problem, there's no one sees Microsoft going to come in and take it all away from us immediately. So we have faith that we do a good job, because we've got a team of people there that have spent. I mean, I've been there 8 years, and there's people that've been there way longer than that for me. So I mean, there's decades of man time in the products that we release. So we've got this head start that's nice.
Wow. So just get in a nutshell, what is data rate for those listeners that perhaps are not familiar with it? What do you do in the Microsoft Business Applications landscape?
So we are a ISV that sits horizontally within Dataverse, so not Dynamics 365. We're in Dataverse and also in Power Automate, so across the platform, with a focus on data validation and data integrity. So it could be as simple as we will tell you if an email is real at the point of entry, or if a phone number is real at the point of entry. And we'll go the entire opposite way, which is we'll do things like single customer views. So we will look at people's historic data and apply all sorts of matching logic that Microsoft simply don't have.
From memory, it's a very simple interface, isn't it, to configure up your various business rules that you'd want to happen?
Yeah, so one of the things that we decided to do at the very start, and this was years ago when we started building it, was that we wanted people to not realize they were using our tool. So when they move somewhere else, they go, why is that bit not on? Can we just turn it on? And then they realize it was somebody else. And then, because I don't like this jarring feel of you jumping out of a system somewhere else, and it's very obvious, and it breaks people's sort of concentration, and they just don't think about it. Whereas for it to feel native and natural means you can get into people's muscle memory, and they can just naturally know what they're doing. And if with that becomes the benefit that people then respect their own systems, because if you're not making their life hard, they'll use it correctly.
Yeah. And so what are the common industries that you sit within?
Oh, good question. It varies. It's funny. It comes in waves, which is a nice topical pandemic reference there. But yeah, it comes in waves. we go through a while where, and it's off seasons and things. So generally, educations and universities will come in are all around the same time, and then we'll have a bunch of universities and education companies, and then recently there's been a bunch of financial services ones come in, and there was a time when there was an automotive push came in, and we had 3 or 4 major car manufacturers at the same time, and it's weird that they just seem to come in these waves of all sorts. But yeah, we've got pretty much one in almost every industry I can think of at this point.
Wow. And just looking at your site, address validation, bank validation, business insights, data cleansing, data management, duplication detection, email validation, name validation, phone validation, TPS services, not sure what that is. But yeah, wow. And do you sell internationally? Do you have any issues around, for example, the phone number formats in different countries are done different ways? Bank validation would be done different ways. How do you handle international customers?
Yeah, the problems that we face. We do work internationally, so every country has its own data, and therefore they have their own data sets, and then they have their own rules. But we've just over time built those rules up to work worldwide, so we know what a US phone number looks like, we know what a German phone number looks like, and yeah, we just sort of, it's one of those that we not originally, so we were very UK centric until about maybe 5 or 6 years ago. And then we started to branch out a bit, and it really started back in the old days when the Dynamic Communities summits were going, and we started to go to the US for those, and then we traveled around the world, and the sort of name got out worldwide. So last few years, we've been much more international, which is great most of the time until I have to do support calls at 6 o'clock in the morning, so which is always fun.
Of course, the 2 big questions with international customers, right, are 24/7 support, which really does mean 24/7, and then the other one is currency, whether they want to they might have the facility to transact in pounds or something. So interesting. Anyhow, this show's not about your company, even though there you go, you've been able to talk about it a bit, and it's I find it interesting myself, even just to take a refresh look at data rate. Tell us about you said you were in computer gaming and that got you into tech. How did you actually end up at data rate and then, get into the whole BizApps community?
So I did computer games at the university, mainly because at that point I had no idea what I wanted to do, and that sounded all right. And then during that time, when you realise that basically all computer games is code, but it looks a bit prettier when you run it. So I realistically, what I was becoming there was a software developer. And then in the interim, straight after university, I got a job doing for a mystery shopping. So where you pay people to go shopping and they fill a form out and they rate companies. So I was working for one of the UK's leading mystery shopping companies. And I was there for a few years, but they weren't that advanced for code. And whilst it was paying the bills, I got to this point where I got to a tipping point of I either forget about the degree I did and stick down this path wherever it goes, or I go back to what I really enjoy and see where I'm at. And I chose to go down the code path, so I got a new role. I started at Data Rate and started on the bottom rung. And through all those years, I've worked my way up. And when I started there, they weren't really into Dynamics as it was at the time. And then one of the clients asked us and said, "Have you heard of this?" And we had it in our action pack, so we thought, we'll install it on premise and see what it's all about. 18 months later, we went to a user group in London, and then it's just sort of snowballed out from there, really, to learning from on-premise stuff, to really get to finding a real passion for it. And then it's got bigger and bigger. And then when there was this pivotal point a few years ago where it changed from just Dynamics to Power Platform as a much wider world. And that's when I sort of really fell in love with it, and especially Power Automate. The Power Automate was the thing that made me come out of my shell with the community a bit. I found an area that I really enjoyed, which was all around custom connectors. And I ended up talking about that pretty much all around the world, and that's what gave me the love for where I'm at now. So it slowly started. It was a nice little snowball effect that just now I'm just pretty much everywhere. I mean, I'm trying to helping the team organise the UK user group in London. I've just joined Mark and Ian's team to organise Scottish Summit. So it's gone from attending 3 times a year to being a main part of my life now.
Wow. Now, I think I saw a tweet in the last day or so about connected.gallery. And Thomas Sandor and yourself seem to be doing something. Is that right in that space? Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, that's right. So so Thomas was chatting, and Thomas was thinking some ideas, and one of the ideas that he came up with was a couple of galleries, and one of it was connected.gallery. And somehow, some way, I do seem to have got this reputation for myself of custom connectors. So when he looked online and did his research, there was a number of people that pointed him to my direction. So we ended up talking, and we both were of the same agreement that there isn't anything that's got a low barrier of entry for people to share the things they're proud of in that area. Now there is Microsoft initiatives to put these things together, but there's a jump that I think a lot of people don't have, and I didn't want that. I wanted people to feel the excitement that I had when I made a connector to share it. And after the success of PCF Gallery with Guido, we had a chat with him, and he was like, "Yeah, go for it." So yeah, it sort of spawned into this new thing that's launched, and it's only early days, so who knows where it could go. But yeah, it's a new community platform that hopefully people, if they make anything useful, they can share it.
Yeah, I like it. So I see that it follows pretty much the format of PCF Gallery, and in that I take it individuals can go up there, authors can go up there and contribute the connectors that they make. Is that right?
Yep, absolutely. You go on, you fill a form out, you send us what you've got, and it goes up on there for anybody to use.
Nice. And I see your first connector up there. Is that one you built? What 3 words?
What 3 words is always my go-to for my demos. Yeah, What 3 words has been one that I've presented around the world for years. So that's always the go-to. And
it's a good visual, isn't it? What 3 words when you find out your address or location? Is it a 3-meter block or a 6-meter block?
3 meter square.
Yeah. Wow. And so what's on the backlog? Are you planning for PCF Gallery, or do you know of others planning to upload there?
For connectors, so yeah, there's a few. So there's an IMDb one. The point in most of these is that these aren't business critical ones. These aren't people that are going to do in their spare time. But what they are is they're people like playing the Power Apps, right? People like playing the Power Automate. So it's fun things that you can't necessarily justify your work time doing, but it's cool. So we've got IMDb, you've got a Sessionize one. There's an Eventbrite one. So there's all these different ones that I've built over time, and these are all on the backlog of. So when I organised Scottish Summit, most of them got made for that, and we can share them. And we've already had a few people that have submitted some of their own, which is nice, within a day or two. So we can just keep it snowballing up there. And there's some in the backlog that I'll build if no one else wants to build them. But I'm trying to make people do it as well, because there's no better way of learning than doing. So if people want ideas, we've got a backlog of ideas that need doing as well.
Yeah. Well, it wouldn't take much, right, to go to something like If Then Then That, or what's the other commercial main one that's used that does a lot of that routing type stuff, which I know is more the automation. But of course, any tool like this that, has some form of automation needs connectors, right, to plug in to those disparate systems. So I think that it's something that could become quite a massive inventory, right?
There's all sorts. I've seen some crazy ones. I mean, Tesla's got an API. You can have a Tesla custom connector if you've got a Tesla.
Wow.
Yeah. So I've got a custom one that I had in my house over Christmas that controlled all my Christmas lights. It's nowhere near the level of Daniel Christian, if you've ever seen Daniel Christian.
Yeah.
It's a start.
Why don't you get Daniel to get his one up here?
Oh yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'll see if he's got it in gallery or not. I mean, his lights are on another level, but there you go.
Nice. Let's see who's going to get the Starlink API up there as soon as possible.
Yeah,
I'm expecting my Starlink dish any day now. So.
Oh, nice.
And I heard that there is a API on it, and more to get status type data about various satellites you're connecting to or being handed off to, whatnot. But yeah, interesting. How did you become an MVP? What was that process for you?
To be honest, I think it's different than a lot of people take, because I mean, the majority of MVPs you see are partners and work across lots of clients and do a variety of things across the entire platform. My journey was slightly different because being in the ISV, there's a relatively small area of the platform that I need to know for my day-to-day role. So as I widened my learning, I just sort of turned that into content and just shared that with other people, because if I was trying to learn it, I'm sure other people would try and learn it, and if I got it wrong, I'm sure that somebody else got it wrong in the exact same way. So I took this approach of, I don't need to be ashamed of getting it wrong. I don't need to be ashamed that I don't know these answers, and instead, if I publicly learn it, and if I have a room with 20 people, one of those people, and I click wrong, just one person in that room that knows where the right click is, if they tell you that, they're happy that they knew the answer. I've learned, and everybody wins. So I tried to. I mean, I didn't do everything I did for MVP. MVP is a nice bonus, but MVP wasn't. I didn't wake up one day and think, right, I want it. I just enjoyed what I was doing, and I got the bug for talking in front of people, and then it just sort of came out from that, really.
Nice. You just reminded me, I don't know if it's a hashtag that's out there, but learn in public.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I like that concept that we're all on a learning journey, whether you're far along it or just beginning. And the more that people learn in public, of course, encourages others to learn in public.
Absolutely.
You know, or learn more importantly. Yeah.
People get scared because they often will go to sessions of some sort, or they'll go to YouTube videos, and the person talking is just knows everything, knows every answer, and knows everything in detail. And it can occasionally, at times, to the right person, make them feel like they don't know enough. Whereas I'd rather flick it and just get a few short messages across and say, it doesn't matter that you don't know this, you know more than you realize you know. And that's the message that I try and get across, is that, yeah, you do know more than you know, and don't be scared to say you don't know either.
Yeah. Love it. I love it. Matt, what's on the horizon for you?
The world coming back to normal, hopefully. I'm looking forward to, we currently have a user group scheduled for an actual real life user group in London in September.
Nice.
There is the South Coast Summit in October, so there's a nice two gatherings to see people that I've not seen for a long time. And other than that, yeah, it's just life going back to normal. Looking forward to the Premier League starting again, and I can go to the football.
Love it. I love it. Well, I like to wrap these sessions with a few random questions.
Oh, this is the bit that makes me nervous.
Nah, it's easy. It's easy. Would you rather save money or time? How easy is that?
Would I rather save money or time? Money.
Interesting. What important truth do very few people agree with you about?
I think it's what I was saying before, that it's okay not to know things. I think a lot of people think they need to know everything.
I like it. Last one. Who in your life inspires you to be better?
My daughter.
Nice. Nice, Matt. It's been great to have you on the show. I look forward to publishing this soon.
Thank you very much.
Hey, thanks for listening. I'm your host, Business Applications MVP, Mark Smith, also known as NZ365 Guy. Please like and subscribe in your favorite podcast player. If you'd like to leave a review, go to podcast.nz365guy.com, and there's all the options for you to leave a review. I'd love to hear your feedback. It is important to me to know that the show is really inspiring and helping people further their ambitions in Microsoft Business Applications. And with that, stay safe out there and see you next time.